Welcome to the first video of Unit 2. The topic for this video is going to be the Persian Empire. We're going to go through all of the notes for the section titled Persian Empire in your notes packet. Geographically speaking, the Persian Empire at its peak, which was around 500 BC or BCE, it stretched from the Mediterranean Sea to India. So if we're taking a look at this map, everything in yellow is the Persian Empire, and it stretched from where the Mediterranean Sea is over here, all the way east to where the Indus River is, and over here is India. So it reached to the Indus River, and it covered all of the area in between, and then a little bit down into northern Africa as well. This is the peak of the Persian Empire, meaning it's when it was at its strongest. Several Central Asian tribes united together to defeat a group that was already located in this area, the Assyrians. This is the origin of the Persian Empire. In other words, how the Persian Empire first began. And the Persians are going to consolidate their power or bring together all of their power under King Cyrus. So King Cyrus is going to be the first king of the Persian Empire, and he is known historically as Cyrus the Great. Cyrus defeated many neighboring empires in battle and joined their territory with his. So he would take over new lands, and then he would rule that land that had been taken over. Something that made Cyrus different from any other conqueror that we've talked about is that he treated tribes with respect. Specifically speaking in terms of their cultural and religious views, he allowed different areas that he conquered to keep their religious customs. The only thing he required was that they pay tribute to him and to give him troops when he needs them. A tribute is a tax that is paid by a subject to a sovereign or someone above them. So they would have to pay a tribute, which could be money, it could be goods, it could be individuals that would be brought from different areas to fight in a war or whatever it is that Cyrus would need the people for. They would pay this tribute, and he would pretty much leave them be. He would let them practice the religion they wanted to practice and maintain their cultural differences. He allowed religious toleration for the Jews as well, and during his reign, they rebuilt their temple at Jerusalem. The Jews even called him the anointed of the Lord. So he was looked at very highly for allowing this religious toleration. This here is a primary source. It is known as the Cyrus cylinder, and this is a very early example of propaganda. This is a cylindrical shape, and all around it is written positives about Cyrus, speaking of his forgiving nature, speaking of his religious toleration. And so this whole thing is all about how great King Cyrus was. Cyrus died around the year 530 BC or BCE, and he is still respected by a lot of cultures because of how good of a leader he was. When he died, his son Cambyses took over, and his son took a very different approach than Cyrus did. He was not tolerant of other religions. He forced everyone under his rule to follow his ways, to follow his religion. He conquered Egypt. Under him, there were a lot of revolts, meaning people fought back, and so his reign would not last very long. He died about 8 years after he took over, and then the throne passed on to Darius, or Darius. Darius put down the rebellions, and he took control fairly quickly. He was a good administrator. He set up a government system known as imperial bureaucracy, which is going to be something that we see again and again throughout history, but he's actually going to start this system. He built a new capital city at Persepolis, and he spent a lot of time and money to make sure that this capital city was very grand. He wanted to make sure everyone could see the greatness of the Persian Empire by how much was put into the capital city. So the way that he divided his empire. As it grew, it was very difficult to rule it all as one person. So he divided it into 20 provinces, or 20 sections, each ruled by someone that would act like how we see governors today, and they would be known as satraps. And these satraps would be loyal to him. Each province contained their own ethnic group, their own religious practices, so he was also religiously tolerant, just as Cyrus was. So he is going to have these different satraps rule these smaller areas, and then those satraps report to him. So he's still in charge of the entire Persian Empire, but he doesn't have to deal with as much of the day-to-day things. So the definition of an imperial bureaucracy is an organized structure and system of rules that is designed to carry out laws, also considered government agencies. Darius organized a unified currency for the empire, meaning everyone in the Persian Empire had a similar coin system. This would make trade a lot easier because instead of trading goods for goods, now there was a coin that could be used which had the same value for everyone. He also made Aramaic the official language of the empire. This is also going to help with trade for communication purposes. He built something called the Royal Road. This is the first major road project in history. It's going to stretch over 1,600 miles, and it's going to go from the city of Sardis all the way down 1,600 miles to the city of Susa. There's going to be a way station every 20 miles or so, which means a place where travelers who travel on this road can stop, they can feed their horses, they can stay overnight, whatever it is that they need. It's kind of like having rest stops on a long trip. He is also credited for creating the first postal system, which that road really helped with. So it made communication much quicker to get information from one side of the empire to the other. At its peak, meaning when it was at its greatest strength, around 500 BC, 44% of the entire world's population lived in the Persian Empire. That means almost 50 million out of the 112 million people that were alive at the time lived in the Persian Empire. That is a huge percentage of people. So it really shows the importance and the great power that was the Persian Empire. Darius and his son Xerxes, who's going to take over after Darius, both try to conquer Greece, but that's actually going to be both of their downfalls and will eventually lead to the downfall of the Persian Empire as well. We'll cover more about those wars in our next unit when we talk about Greece. So the Persian Empire did fall in 330 BC or BCE when it was taken over by Alexander the Great of Macedonia. And Macedonia is located to the north of the Persian Empire. And again, we will cover this in greater detail as we move forward as well. The main religion of the Persian Empire was Zoroastrianism. It was the official religion, even though other religions were tolerated. And this here is the symbol that you will most often see associated with Zoroastrianism. It was founded by Zoroaster around the year 600 BC or BCE. And the main ideas behind Zoroastrianism are the fight between good and evil, and that it's an individual's responsibility to maintain the good and to try and avoid evil acts, evil thoughts. People can stay on the good side of the gods by practicing the concept of good thoughts, good deeds, and good words, which you can see surrounding the major symbol of the religion. It was a monotheistic religion, and according to Zoroastrianism, the god was Ahura Mazda. So again, monotheistic means belief in one god. And it was believed in Zoroastrianism that Ahura Mazda was the creator of the earth and the protector of humans from evil forces. Rituals and chants were designed to help purify the world in preparation for Judgment Day as part of the religious practices. A lot of what was learned about this religion was learned through an inscription that was discovered in modern Iran. So this is how we learn so much information from history, is being able to read, to decipher the text, to figure out what the symbols all mean, and to see inscriptions like this. So this is why we know so much about Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism came to influence Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It is one of the first times we see ideas like heaven and hell, an afterlife, judgment at death, and the coming of a savior. All of those have roots in Zoroastrianism. There are still around 250,000 people in the world today that practice Zoroastrianism, so it maintains as a pretty small religion in terms of population today. Most of those who practice Zoroastrianism are in India and Pakistan. And this is the end of the notes on the Persian Empire.